Your AI slides aren't generic because AI is bad at design. They're generic because you never told it explicitly what you want. You prompt, you pray, and the guessing bot hands you the same slop everyone gets. Don't believe me? Here's Gamma, the AI slide tool everyone recommends, with my actual logo and my actual colors and fonts. It looks professional, but it doesn't really look like my brand. It looks like Gamma. It used a black background while mine is navy. My logo is nowhere to be found. No copyright line, nothing that makes it mine. To be fair, with enough setup, you can push it closer if you're on the paid plan. But even at its best, it still looks like Gamma, the same layouts that everyone else has. Whatever you fix, you're gonna be fixing again on the next deck. It's not a lot faster than doing it by hand, and it's a new subscription that does a single job. What you actually want is a deck that looks like the branding department made it. Look at this deck. Full branding, cyberpunk colors, techie fonts, logo in the corner. It's not a store-bought template. Claude Code built the whole thing for me from scratch. It looks like it took hours of work, but it only took minutes. The flow I'm about to show you has changed the way I work. I set it up once, and now I just talk to Claude about the presentation that I'm making, and the deck appears as I go. The best part is that you don't need to write a single line of code to do this. You only need the Claude subscription you already have and a clear idea of what you want your slides to look like. It works with Codex too, but I'm a Claude fangirl, so that's what I'll be showing today. You'll want to stick around till the end for this one. I'll show you how to capture your brand, create the tool, correct the output, and make sure that the whole system is self-improving so that you never make the same mistake twice. The tool we're going to be using is called SlideDev, and here's why it's the right one. Claude Code is good at one thing: writing code. And SlideDev is a framework to build slides out of code. By picking SlideDev, we allow the AI to do what it's best at, which is the whole reason the results come out so clean. The presentation itself is just a markdown file. It's plain text. So if you ever want to change something by hand, you can just open the file and type. But you won't have to. I'm only telling you this to prove that you're not locked into any software. If the best agent tomorrow is a different one, you can switch to it instantly and the deck will come with you. So that was the tool. Now let me show you how to actually use it. It's super easy to set this up, and in 3 simple steps, you'll have beautiful slides on command. Step 1. Capture the brand. You write your colors, your fonts, and any other style rules into a file that the AI can read. This won't be a prompt that you have to retype every time. It's a file that stores your information forever. Step 2. Create the tool. You point Claude at that file and it builds the whole setup and the deck to match. It will be on brand because your brand's right there in writing. Step 3. Correct the output. You look at the example deck it gives you and tell it to fix whatever it didn't get right on the first try. Everything you improve will remain perfect on every deck after that. So let's actually do it. I'm handing Claude 2 things: my brand and a few assets, and on purpose, no content at all. First, my brand. This is not some fancy config file. It's literally a plain markdown file called brand guidelines, where I typed out my colors and fonts in plain English. I gave it a background color, body text colors, colors for headings and calls to action, as well as a color for links. There are also 2 fonts mentioned in there, one for the headings, one for the body text. If I wanted to add some special rules, maybe something like don't use magenta too often, I'd also write those in plain English in the same file. That's the whole thing. This file is step 1, capture the brand, already done. Obviously, yours can be different than mine. If you've already got files that define your look, perhaps some exports from a design tool like Claude Design, or a style guide you've written down previously, or any other kind of code that sets your styles, for example on your website, you can just drop that entire folder into Claude Code and tell it what it will be working with. The bot will figure it out by itself. The second thing I gave it is some assets: my font files, my logo, and a handful of on-brand pictures of bots and cats. Why cats? Well, this is the internet, so obviously the example deck we're going to be making today is going to be about cats. One thing worth mentioning: I gave it pictures I already had for simplicity. But you could imagine building a tool on top of SlideDev that learns your illustration style and generates on-brand pictures on the fly. If you had this kind of tool, then you wouldn't even need to think of images before doing the presentation. Claude would just draw them in your style as it makes your slides. Notice what I'm deliberately not giving it. There's no content, no script, no facts about cats, nothing. I'm letting Claude make all of that up because today the whole point is the look, not the words. If you had some real content that you wanted included in the presentation, you'd also have a file to hand Claude the information that it needs. But today, I'll let him be the cat expert. Now watch what I don't do. I don't set anything up. I just talk to Claude. Here's my prompt. Hey Claude, I want you to create a tool we can use to make slides that look on brand. In the open folder, you'll find some brand guidelines with my colors and fonts. I've also given you the font files and the logo files, plus some example images we'll use to create mockups. Please create a tool that uses the SlideDev framework to generate slides. Feel free to move files around if needed. And off it goes. It's now building the whole thing. The slide templates, the styling that pulls straight from my brand guidelines, and the folder for my images. I directed it, and the bot did the setup. I never touched a single file beyond the brand definition. Now let's actually build the deck. I point Claude at the templates and the pictures, and I tell it what I want to make. Let's create a mock-up deck. Please make a presentation with 10 slides about cats. Use the slide templates we already have and the pictures I gave you to decorate them. Look carefully at my prompt. I'm not describing my brand again. I never have to say, please use a navy background. I never have to name the fonts. It already read the guidelines and it built the template, so I just ask for cats and it fills everything in on brand all by itself. Now let's have a look at what it made. Hey Claude, please open a local preview where I can see the presentation template. This is the part that makes the whole thing actually workable. SlideDev opens a live preview right here in the browser, and any change that Claude makes will show up in real time. It feels like magic, but it's just a deck being rendered from the underlying code. Okay, here's where most people stop, and it's exactly why their slides still look a little bit like AI made them. Look very closely at the result. The logo is tiny, and the copyright line that I wanted on every slide is missing. It feels like small stuff, but this kind of small stuff is the entire difference between these slides look like AI made them and they look like I made them. So I point out the mistakes to Claude. Hey Claude, the logo is a bit too small. Please make it bigger. And you missed the copyright attribution on each slide. Add it and make that bigger too. As I'm looking through the file, the title slide is off as well. The logo is sitting right in the middle of the title, so I tell Claude. On the title slide, please make the logo bigger and pull it to the left so it's not in the middle of the title. And as you can see, it starts fixing all of it live in the preview. And here's the best part. Watch the whole deck. I'm not fixing these one slide at a time. Claude fixes them in the template itself so that every slide updates in front of me. You fix it once and it's fixed everywhere. On this deck and on every deck I make from here on. Now let me show you an awesome trick. See a slide layout that you love anywhere? In a conference talk, a website, on somebody's gorgeous deck on Twitter? Screenshot it. I have one here that I picked up from the internet. I drop the screenshot straight into Claude and I say, rebuild this layout, but in my brand. And it does. The whole internet just became your template library, and everything that comes out of it is on brand, ready to be reused. This is my favorite thing in the entire workflow, so if it sold you on the method, hit that like button. It helps me stay motivated to make more videos like this. Alright, the deck looks great. Now I need it out of the browser and into something that I can actually send or present. I'll start with PDF because it's the cleanest way out by a mile. And here's the good news. SlideDev already has this built in. It ships with its own way to turn your Markdown slides into a PDF, so this isn't something that Claude has to hack by itself. The framework already provides for it. In one command, it hands me a PDF of the whole deck with everything exactly as I designed it. On your first few exports, you might need to make some tweaks. Look at that. In the browser, my text has a neon glow, in that cyberpunk look that I love. But in the PDF, it hasn't rendered correctly. It doesn't look like a glow at all. It looks like a weird highlight that's sitting behind the text. It's a bug too. And this is real, by the way. This is what working with these tools actually looks like. Not everything renders the same everywhere, and some effects that look gorgeous in the browser just fall apart on export. So I make the call. The glow is nice, but it isn't worth the hassle of fighting with the PDF. I tell Claude, this glow is turning into a highlight in the export, so please take it out of the Markdown. We then re-export, and now it's clean. No highlight, no mess. A word of caution. The fancier your template, the more there is to get right. So be mindful of which design elements are essential. For the export, we use the same idea of correcting the output that we used earlier. You look at what's off, you tell Claude, and it will fix it. And once it's learned what you want, every export after that just works. You fight every fight just once. Now I know what you'll say. But Magda, what if you need to later edit the deck by hand somewhere, or if your team lives in Google Slides? Well, SlideDev can handle those too, but you'll need to prompt carefully. The default export to PowerPoint creates screenshots of each slide. That's obviously not what you want, but you can tell Claude to make every element editable later. In this way, every element will become its own text box. If you've ever used Gamma, you'll recognize this. Over there, everything is its own text box too, and sometimes it looks a bit quirky because every bullet point might end up in its own little box instead of in one tidy block. It's a bit fiddly, but that's just something we have to live with until these tools improve. But compare that to building every slide by hand. I'll take it any day. To create Google Slides, simply export to PowerPoint first, then upload that file to Google Slides. It works, and it keeps the slides editable. Okay, one last thing, and it's the one that makes all of this actually compound. Everything we just did, fixing the template, removing the export globe, that's hard-won knowledge. And right now, it's trapped in this one conversation that I had with Claude. Come next week, in a fresh chat, it will have forgotten every bit of this. So here's the fix. There's a file called ClaudeMD, which you can think of as Claude's personal notebook. It's a standing set of notes that the fresh agent reads before it touches anything. So I tell Claude, take everything you learned this session and write it into ClaudeMD. The export thing specifically. Write down that the neon globe breaks the PDF, so don't use it. Now that the mistake is logged, next session it won't make it again. If you learned anything from this video, make the self-improvement loop a habit. At the end of every session, ask Claude to look back over the conversation, pull out anything you learned, and save it to ClaudeMD. That was it. We captured the brand, created the tool, corrected the output, and then we made cat slides with one prompt. Now you have a system that spits out on-brand decks whenever you need them, no new subscription required. You'll still need to decide what goes on the slides, but that you had to do anyway. The same idea you saw for branding applies to writing and tone of voice. In the next video, I'll be teaching Claude my actual writing style using some old essays so it can draft text that sounds like me and not like slop. Subscribe and I'll see you there.